Hey everybody, and welcome to another Star Citizen video. My name is Scary Spikes, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a cat. Specifically the one from Drake Interplanetary, the one that we're currently standing in. Before we get started though, a huge thank you to all of my wonderful channel members and patrons for helping to make videos like these possible. If you'd like to help me directly because you enjoy my content and find it helpful, you can do so by following the Patreon link down in the description or clicking on the blue join button just beside the red subscribe button under the video. Thanks so much for all of your support, and let's go ahead and get started with this video. Now we're here on beautiful Microtech just before the sunrise to talk about the Drake Caterpillar. The Caterpillar, albeit an old ship, was one of the most widely used trade ships before the Herculean offerings of very recent history, and it was one that I personally used the most in 3.9 to 3.11, where I made the most of my money doing trading. As always, we'll be starting at the very front, at the bow of the vessel here, making our way around the port, the stern, and then the starboard side of the exterior, taking note of any of the exterior features, and there are a few of them here on the Caterpillar before heading inside to do a comprehensive interior tour and show you all the bells and whistles that come with this thing, which again, there's a number of different features there to look forward to. And then of course, wrapping up as we always do on Oracle.games, having a look at all the different modules and weapons that are replaceable and upgradable. And honestly, there's a few upgrades I would make, but this thing is pretty solid out of the factory. Speaking of which, you can pick this up at New Deal for just under 4.9 million. I believe it's 4.8 and change. I'll see if I can put that up on the screen here for you, as well as on the RSI store. Now, unfortunately, this is not something that's available all the time. It is once in a while, but if you have completed the Pirate Swarm up to level 10 in Arena Commander, then you will have access to the Pirate Edition, which actually looks really, really cool as well. And so that's going to cost you about 295 smackaroonies if you want to pick it up for real money. That being said, honestly, there are a number of other ships that outclass this, including, of course, the C2, which is actually not too much more expensive, but honestly has a lot more utility and especially cargo carrying capacity. If you haven't seen my previous video about the top 5 cargo ships, make sure to go ahead and check that out as well. So let's go ahead and start with the exterior tour. All right, so starting out at the very front of the ship here, we can see that we have a nice big door, and honestly, besides that and the turret on the very top, which we'll see in just a second as we swing around to the port side, there's really not too much to speak of. We have some little things that stick out here. These appear to be some kind of sensors, but if you know what they are and I'm wrong about that, feel free, of course, as always, to correct me in the comments. We do have a nice big door on the front for front-loading stuff. Unfortunately, there was a huge missed opportunity here by not including a ramp. I'm not sure why they didn't do that. This door does open in a pretty cool way, though. The bottom part, of course, does come down, and then the top part goes up, and that's pretty cool. I love the way that it animates and that it looks. It just feels like a little bit of a missed opportunity not to have a little ramp come down here, so you can park some vehicles in there if you didn't want to take advantage of the cargo space with the cargo rack that is ever present inside that little compartment, as well as all the other little compartments, which we'll take a look at in more detail when we get into the interior tour. Moving on to the port side of the ship here, we can see that we do have a pair of size 4 rhinos up top. This is going to be the very first turret. Again, we have a seat on the inside, which we'll show during the interior tour, which will be allowing your crewmates to basically man those guns. Now we can see the landing gear is very interesting and very unique. Of course, this thing is called the Caterpillar, and it does certainly look like one. These landing gear here actually fold into the recesses in between the modules, as you can see there. I do really like that we have the lights on the sides of them as well. It definitely makes things really easy to see, especially when you're in the command module, which is this thing right here, and you're flying the ship from up there. Again, more details during the interior tour. All of these will open up as well. Again, we'll have a look at that in a little bit more detail later. But it's really nice to have these doors. Again, a slight missed opportunity for the bottoms of these not to come all the way down and act as little ramps. That'd be really nice. It would definitely add a lot of utility to the Caterpillar and make it a little bit more of a versatile ship. But hey, what are you going to do? Now, we have some more interesting features over here. We've got, of course, the command module, which is very interesting. It's on the side of the ship here on the port side, as you can see. This is where you'll be flying the ship from, so if you're someone who is a fan of symmetry, this ship might not necessarily be for you, but it's a very cool and very unique design from some of the other ships that we have seen, especially in this category. So we have the main command module that's going to be at the very top there. You'll have space for your pilot and your co-pilot, as well as some crew rest areas in there. And then, of course, we also have an operator station here for what eventually will be a tractor beam, which is going to be very interesting indeed to see how that works out once we get that at some point in the future. We have our main and only ingress and egress point on the ship here. You can access that very easily simply by holding F and moving underneath. I may have to actually jump in order to be able to reach that, but oh my goodness, I may have actually locked myself out of the ship. Let's try it again. Oh, I think we got it. Yeah, we got it. All right, that's awesome. So I landed in a place where it was a little low here, but we'll have to do a little bit of acrobatics to get on. Okay, so we can still get on board. We'll leave this open as we take the rest of the tour, but that is the only way that you're going to be able to get in and out of the ship. Now, of course, to the aft of that main entrance, we do have yet another turret. This is going to be the second of 2 turrets with 2 rhinos in here. As you can see, this is a man turret, and you're going to have a seat in there, which is going to be upside down. So if you're a little bit queasy and you have some issues with vertigo and stuff like that, maybe just use the one up front instead of using this one, because you'll be kind of hanging upside down. That does offer some benefits, but I think it would be really nice if it just kind of flipped you over. In any case, we'll go ahead and move on to the rear landing gear here. Now, these are pretty cool. They're very, very big. They've got a lot of support on the rear end here, giggity. And then, of course, all the way towards the back, I'm going to be able to see as soon as we back up about a couple of 100 meters that we have these 4 massive thrusters on the back. These are going to be our main propulsion here. We've got 2 of the main ones there, and then we have some auxiliary on the side as well. Now, moving on to the other side of the ship, I wish I could say that everything is pretty much exactly the same on this side, but it's really not. The ship is all about asymmetry, at least to a certain degree. There are some symmetrical elements, of course, like the modules and the engines and stuff, but we do have this as well. This is really cool. This is going to be somewhat of a scanning station, although it could be interesting to see what we will be using these for in the future. But there is a little station up there. You can probably see there's a little window there. I do love the red windows. They're pretty cool. There is an engineer panel up there for one of your friends to crew and use that as well. I would hope at least initially could be used for helping to manage ship systems, although the co-pilot does have a bunch of MFDs available to him or her as well in the command module. So I'm not really sure what that's going to be used for. I imagine it's going to be predominantly scanning, but it could be anything else as well, which we haven't heard about yet. So that is going to be the exterior tour. Very cool looking ship, very rugged looking. And I really love the red and black colorway here, especially on the Pirate Edition. If you're lucky enough to go ahead and get your hands on one of those, they look really, really cool. And if you're interested on getting the whole pirate look, you can also get the Pirate Edition Caterpillar alongside the Pirate Gladius in a pack. Again, you would have to have completed the Pirate Swarm in Arena Commander. Let's go ahead and hop in. Fail the first time. Let's go ahead and hop in. All right. Third time's the charm. Let's go ahead and hop in and take a look at the interior of this amazing ship. All right, so first things first, once you get into the ship here, you're going to have a number of different doors and places to go from the main foyer here, which is what you're greeted by once you go up the elevator. We've got a door here that's going to lead us back towards engineering and the aft turret. We'll have a look at that in a little bit. And we have another door here as well as on this side, which is going to take us into crew rest. And then back here, we've got a little Drake Interplanetary gun locker, which seems to be possessed in some way or another. Unfortunately, this is not working currently. It seems like Drake may have forgotten to pay the engineers, and so just be careful putting your weapons in here, as you may not be able to pull them out again. Now, moving into the crew rest area, we see a number of different amenities here. We've got some bunks here for the crew. We've got a lovely little picnic table with something that looks like definitely not drugs on top of it. We've got a couple of screens, and moving along to the other side, we've got some storage and a little kitchenette with a stove with 4 burners and a little sink. Now we have a head over here as well with a shoilet combo. We've got our shower and toilet. That's where the shoilet comes from. Unfortunately, this does not have a door, so you're going to be very careful not to be taking a number 2 while somebody's over here preparing a steak in the middle of quantum travel. Otherwise, you're going to make some people angry. We really should move these non-drugs to a slightly more obscure and not publicly visible area. Moving along, we've got the main star, the main attraction of the show here. We've got these main cargo areas. Now, this in total is going to give you a total of 576 SCU worth of cargo, which is really great. It's some of the best cargo you're going to be able to get in the game. And there are a number of these components, or these modules, as it were. Now, these doors are automatic, so you can come all the way through. And before we go towards the very front of the ship, I want to show you how these work. And it's actually really cool. I like the animation. They open from sort of like 2/3 from the bottom, 1/3 from the top. And then once it's opened up, there's like a little balcony with some rails and stuff like that created out here, which is pretty cool. Again, in my opinion, I think it would have been a much nicer design if we just forgot the whole top piece and have this come out a little bit longer, like a third longer, and then that way it could go all the way to the top, and then when it came back down, it could create a very small, steep ramp, which, although being steep, would still serve a function and a purpose to be able to get some vehicles and stuff in here. Now, if you're crafty, again, not a big deal. You can get some vehicles in here, and it's you know, again, not a big deal. But it's just a little tiny gripe, although I really, really do like the way that this looks. It's very practical. It's very functional. And by that definition, it's also very Drake, which is something I really like. So, the look of everything, it's not something that I prefer. I don't like the super industrial look here. We've got our last cargo access. This is what I was talking about earlier on. I'm not a particular fan of, the yellow and the darks and the olives and stuff like that. It looks cool, but it's just not my preferred look. But I do understand why it exists in the colorway that it does and why they were going for that, because that's just the nature of Drake Interplanetary. Now, again, we can open the front of this thing by simply clicking the button here. And again, I feel like it's a missed opportunity. I really do like that this kind of comes out forward before opening up again. Very similar to that of the side panels on the ship. But again, it would have been just so nice to see this come out, at least this part, if not the modules, at least this part coming out as a ramp. I think that would be really, really cool. You could use this as a little garage just for some small vehicles. Maybe plop a PTV or a Cyclone or something in here, and maybe even a Mule, which I did a video on not too long ago. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. The Mule is a really cool little ground vehicle, and I think having a couple of them in here would be really nice. It would really add to the whole aesthetic. And hey, it's made by Drake Interplanetary as well. So let's go ahead and head back through the main hallway here. We're going to check out the rear of the ship. And then, of course, we're going to climb up to the second level, because we do have a second level on the ship, and show you around there as well, including how to get to all the turrets and all the goodies. All right, so now we're going to be moving in through this little hallway here towards the aft or the rear end of the ship. And the first thing that we're going to see is, of course, the engineering access. This is pretty cool. It's a very atmospheric area. And this is, of course, where all of your engineers, are going to work. We do have a nice little engineer panel up here with not less than 7 screens, which is really, really cool. We got 1, 2, 4 on the top, 5, 6, yep, 7 screens. You can interact with this. Unfortunately, as really cool as the animations are for starting everything up, it doesn't really do anything. It's really mostly just for show. So I'm hoping at some point in the future we're going to be able to do something like calibrate the quantum drive or something like that from here. We can turn it on, of course, with the F key and the left mouse button, and you can cycle through these. As you can see, a lot of these screens are going to be just dark and not really have anything on them. But you're able to move things around as well. You're able to kind of switch between screens. But again, we're clicking on some of these buttons. They don't really do anything. Everything just kind of stays the way it is. So for now, it's for show, but it's going to be really cool once we're actually going to be able to take advantage of these in the back here and have some really genuinely awesome multi-crew gameplay. So I'm really looking forward to that. We've got a little ladder here. This is going to take us up to another section that we're going to see in just a little bit. So I'll show you that in a while. But first, we've got the first turret access. This is going to be for the rear turret. So if we get into here, you'll see that I'm going to go ahead and just do a little flip upside down. There we go. And so again, if you're queasy or if you've got some issues with vertigo or anything like that, you might want to be careful about getting into the bottom turret. You might want to use the rear turret as you do some interesting maneuvers here that could potentially give some people motion sickness. So just be aware of that. We've got the stairs over here, so we're going to go ahead and take that up to the next level. And in the next level here, we definitely have a few more interesting things that we're going to go over. Now, we've got this main hallway, again, that connects a lot of things. We're going to go ahead and start off on the right-hand side here. This is going to be yet another panel. This is what we were talking about earlier in terms of where you're going to be able to start doing scans and stuff like that from. Presumably, again, I'm kind of assuming here at this point, considering that there's really nothing else here other than a panel. So it just seems like this would be a great place to observe and to scan. Again, just making that multiplayer gameplay so much more rich and fun. So we're going to go ahead and get out of here now. You can start that up. I'm not going to start it just in the interest of time, but you can power it up again as the engineering panel. It does not really work very well. We've got a little hallway back here. This is going to lead us into the server room. And again, towards the rear end here, we're going to have our power plant access. This is our main power plant. Quite a big one there. Size 3 components in this ship, and I love to see the everything physicalized like that. And then back here, we do have access to some other things, including the ladder that we looked at just a moment ago. This is going to be really the compartment for the quantum drive here as we head back towards the power plant area and then back into server access and then back through the upper hallway. Right. So now we've got a few options. We can go to the command deck here, or we can go through the rest of the ship. Now, because you guys have seen that, I'm going to show you the command deck here. You can go straight up through here. And what's really cool about this is also a multi-level little place. You've got the main flight deck up here. And this is really cool. You've got quite a lot of MFDs here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with the 2D radar. And then you've got your annunciators and everything up top as well. Pretty decent view here. Unfortunately, of course, the ship does obstruct quite a bit of the view on the right-hand side. And again, if you're a fan of symmetry, this might not necessarily be a ship for you, but it definitely looks really cool. And looks like we've even got some kind of piping going around here, presumably for oxygen. I'm going to turn on my flashlight because it's a little bit hard to see here, but we do have another single panel here and a sliding seat, just like the one for the pilot, for the co-pilot. And again, unfortunately, in my testing, I've not been able to really alter any of the ship's settings, such as shields, power, etc., using the rear panel. But again, I'm sure that's something that will be included in a future patch. Now we've got a pair of engineering panels back here. These are really cool. These are dual screen engineer panels. These do remind me somewhat more of a rustic looking Carrack engineer panel or engineering bay, where you're able to sit in there and basically play with the computers on that ship. This looks very similar to that. Of course, a little bit more low tech looking on the Drake ship, as it were, but those are what that's for. And then we have a ladder in the back here, and this is going to take us to the bottom, or the underside of the command module here. Now, one thing that I want to point out, we do have another gun rack over here. I'm terrified of putting my guns in there, especially when the first one malfunctioned and it didn't allow me to take my gun back out. So again, do that at your own risk. And then we have yet another washroom down here. Now, this doesn't look like it's got a toilet in it. This looks like it's just got a little wash basin and a shower. But that's still very nice. If you're winding down from the day, and you've been traveling and you're looking to maybe go into a long quantum and go and get some sleep or relax, or maybe just chill while somebody else is flying the ship, you can come down here, take a little shower, relax. We've got some more amenities here for cooking and stuff like that, which is really nice to have that redundancy. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's really any other ship that has, 2 kitchenettes. So for something this size, I think it definitely makes sense. And I really like the redundancy there for being able to have a nice little private space here with 2 additional bunks, and of course some more meal prep area. We've got a nice little TV here, as well as a little single-sided bench. And then up front here we do have another door. Now, this door unfortunately doesn't open. It could be interesting to see if this possibly leads to maybe like a ladder that allows you to get out of the command module a little bit quicker without going throughout the rest of the ship. That'd be really cool. And then of course, down here we have yet another panel, and this is going to be in the future for some kind of tractor beam. So that's going to be very interesting. And again, a very rustic looking sort of interior. We do have another gun rack here, which I initially didn't notice. So it's nice to have plenty of gun racks. Gun racks, stoves, and beds, ladies and gentlemen. Plenty of that to go around on the Drake Caterpillar. Going to go ahead and take this ladder back up, and we're going to go ahead and go through the rest of the ship so I can show you how to get to the front turret as well. So we're going to go ahead and take the center hallway door here through the command module. I do really like how there's even a redundancy built into the door here. We don't have just a single door, we have a double door. That actually really makes sense. And actually what would be really cool too is if somehow, maybe in the future, this could potentially detach from the rest of the ship. I don't know. I think that'd be really cool. I know we're probably asking for too much at this point, a la Endeavor, but hey, that'd be really cool. We've got the EVA access room in here. This is pretty cool. This will act as an airlock, as we have a door right here and a door right there. And then, of course, we also do have a little hatch up here. Now, the ladder does not work, and the hatch does not work as well, so you're not able to EVA throughout here. Unfortunately, the only way to do so is going to be through the main ingress-egress point at the bottom of the ship. Of course, you can also just jump out one of the modules as well. What's really cool about the modules, too, though, is you can actually open them up from the catwalk here. So if you have multiple people working together, you're able to open these up. Now, I'm not going to be able to see that too well there. Let's see. Did that open up? It looks like it probably did. It's just a little dark outside, so we're not able to see. But we're going to go ahead and close these up. So that's really cool. Again, I really love the potential. Oh, there we go. This is open now. It just took a little while. I love the potential for multi-crew gameplay with this ship. It just seems like that's exactly what it was made for. And it seems like it's something that would work really, really, really well on the ship. So very excited to see that. And hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers, ladies and gentlemen, maybe, hopefully, by some miracle, a gold standard update for the Caterpillar in the future, because God knows it could use it, and it would really be an awesome thing to see revitalize a little bit of love for the since forgotten ship since the Hercules came along. Now we've got another button over here. This is going to be opening the front side here as well. This is very nice again, very multi-crew friendly. You can go ahead and close this up again. And finally, we have the turret, and this is going to be your top turret. One thing I wanted to mention here is that you do by default get a pair of CF447 Rhino laser repeaters on both of the turrets, the bottom one and the top one, and it's pretty cool. Now, I haven't used these for a little while, so it might be a little while to find the power button. There it is, and there we go. So that's pretty cool. We'll go ahead and press Q. That's going to allow us to move things around, and yeah, you've got some size 4 weapons. Very cool. If you hold C, that'll bring it back to the middle. And then we can go ahead and close the power off and hold Y to get out of the seat. So there you go. That's the interior tour of this beautiful, majestic ship. A little old, but really good ship. Honestly, this is one that I've been using quite a lot back in 3.9 to 3.11 when, as all of you know, Laranite trading was pretty much in its prime. Hopefully those days will come back. But I remember all the 30Ks, but also all the profits, and there was quite a lot. I believe I was able to buy up about 1.4 million Alpha UEC worth of Laranite per trip, and yes, sometimes with 30k you did lose all of that, but that is the risk you took, and if you were able to get to safety, then you were making a tidy 300k profit every 15 minutes, which was certainly very nice. So let's go ahead now and head over to Urkel.Games, and we'll see how we can make this thing a little bit better out of the factory. We'll see you guys there. Alright everybody, so here we are on Urkel.Games, and I'm going to make sure to go ahead and post my links down below for the stock build, which is this one right here, and of course my build as well. Once we're finished, you can go ahead and follow along. These will be in the links down below. I'll make sure to put them in the My Loadout channel on our Discord as well. And hey, just a little disclaimer before we get started, these are my picks based on my experiences and my playstyle. They might not align with yours, and that is okay. So if that's the case, go ahead and click on the share button once you're done picking out your Caterpillar. Post it down in the comments or over in the My Loadout section of our Discord. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing is going to be pilot weapons, and for that, we're going to go ahead and change out these Verpuck S3 mounts. Now, these are actually gimbals. They are on S3 mounts, but these are size 3 gimbals that have size 2 weapons. For some reason, that already changed to Badger. I don't want that. We're going to go ahead and go into the actual mount itself here, and we're going to change that to the CF337 Rhino laser repeater. The reason why you're getting size 2 weapons down here and size 3 weapons up here is because this corresponds to the actual mount, whereas this corresponds to the weapon on the actual gimbal as is selected here. As you can see, we got the Verpuck S3 gimbal, but everything except for size 1 is going to take a penalty, which means if you have a size 3 gimbal, you're only going to be able to put a size 2 weapon. If you have a size 5 gimbal, a size 4 weapon, and so on. So you're going to have to make sure to make that choice. Do you want gimbaled weapons on a slower, larger ship? You're not really going to be maneuvering around too much, so my answer to that would be no, because if you're going to shoot something that's just in front of you, you're not going to be dogfighting. You might as well get as much DPS as possible on target. Let your gunners handle the rest. So we're going to go ahead and change this out to the CF337 Panther laser repeater, and of course we have a dual mount over here. This is going to be a fixed mount. There's no gimbals here, and as you can see, as a result, we have the M5A. These are going to be the upgraded ones. compared to the M4As, which were size 2. These are going to be size 3. So we're going to go ahead and change these out, and these are going to be CF337s as well, for a total of 2, 3, 4 CF337 Panther laser repeaters for the pilot weapons, and we've got a nice little bump in DPS for that. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the turrets, and for the turrets, we've got a top turret and a bottom turret, and as I mentioned in the video earlier on, we have a pair of 447 Rhinos. These are perfect. Anything size 4 and below laser repeaters are generally a very, very good weapon. They've got some solid range, they've got some good attack speed, and they also do some pretty solid damage. Unfortunately, the range is not as good as it once used to be, but hey, one can only hope that we're going to be able to shoot stuff 4.5 kilometers away with a CF447 Rhino laser repeater at some point in the future. CIG, I'm looking at you. Right, we're going to go ahead and move on now to the shields, and we've got the strongholds. These are not bad. I do prefer something a little bit better. The FRs are a little bit better, so I do like those. The parapets are nice too. We're going to go ahead and go with the FRs. Now, the parapets are very similar, like I said, so if you feel like you're a little bit closer to a place that sells the parapets, you can go ahead and grab those. Otherwise, grab the FRs, and we are moving right along. Okay, so for the power plants, these ones are not that great, honestly. We're going to go ahead and look for something a little bit better. Now, the Durangos are really, really good, but they're industrial grade A, and they're going to be very, very expensive. So if money is no object, then go ahead and select the Durangos. But if you want to find something that's a little bit more budget friendly, the JS500s are slightly less good with the main stat, at least in terms of power per second. As you can see there, we got 55k on the Durango, 42.5 for the JS500, but they are a lot cheaper. So if you're looking to spend a little bit less money, these will definitely suffice even with all the other upgrades on the ship, and you'll be fine. Otherwise, if money's no object, we're going to go ahead and choose the Durango. That's what I'm going to do for my ship here. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the coolers. We've got the thermal cores here. These provide 16k I don't know if that's on purpose, cooling per second. Now we're going to go ahead and see what the options are here. We got the chill max, and then of course we've got the cooling rate selected here. Now don't get me wrong, this isn't always the best stat, but it's really up to you what works for you. They have a number of different other stats that you can check out, so make sure to go ahead and do your research before you do anything. For me personally, I prefer the Blizzards. I really like them. I've used them on my Carrack for ages. They're great. They don't have the same max cooling as the previous ones do, but they do have other stats that are favorable for me, and honestly I just really like them. I think that they're ones that I've accustomed to, or have become accustomed to, and I just kind of pick them even though they are not the best. So that's going to be my choice for the coolers. Now moving on, we have the Quantum Drive, and this is going to be the Pontus. The Pontus is actually not too bad, honestly. It's pretty decent in terms of speed. What you have to consider as well with Quantum Drive is the speed is not the number one thing that you should always look for. You should always buy a Quantum Drive based on your needs. So if you're going to be making short hops, you probably want like a stealth drive, which is going to be a little bit more speedy, or getting to that top speed a little bit faster. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like we have any of these stealth drives for size 3. So in that case, if it's not available for you, or if you can't find a drive that has a really good acceleration for short hops, the TS2 is honestly really good. It's a little bit slower to get going, as the acceleration is not as high as some of the other drives, but the top speed is definitely great. And honestly, if you're going to be in a big ship like the Caterpillar, you're probably looking for top speed anyway. You're not going to be in a little dinky Titan jumping from moon to moon during, you know, combat or whatever. You're in a gigantic spaceship with 576 SC of cargo. You're probably not going to be making a lot of small stops on the way. So for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and choose the TS2. Again, just look at the stats, make sure that you can see what the efficiency is. Some of these have different fuel efficiencies. Some of them have different distances that they can go, and they have sort of different stats that might line up better or worse for you depending on your use case scenario. So don't always take my or anybody else's word for it. Always look around. In fact, what you can do is you can always open up the side menu on Oracle.games, and you can check out and pixel peep into anything that you want to see and check out all the stats and just see how it works for your use case. Because you might find that something like this, for example, like if we go back up to the coolers for a second, The blizzards, they're not necessarily the best on paper, but they happen to work for me. So use that same application and that same logic for everything else as well. If it works for you, it doesn't matter that they're not the best, as long as they work for you. That's the most important part. Okay, and then the last thing, of course, is going to be the liveries here now. Again, I always say the liveries are always very, very much a personal choice. There's quite a few really nice ones here. I don't really own any of them, and honestly, if I were to actually own a Caterpillar, which this one is just a loner, I would probably go with the Pirate Edition because it's very unique. It's a little bit difficult to get if you don't have help, especially. It's a little tricky, so it's a little bit more rare by definition, and that's probably the one that I would go with. Again, if you want to get your hands on that and the Pirate Gladius, just go ahead and get into the Pirate Swarm. And as long as you can defeat all 10 waves, then you'll have the opportunity to buy those 2 ships. So that's going to do it for me, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for your time and your attention and for watching this video. I hope that it's been helpful and enjoyable. And you know what? If it has, you can help me in an absolutely huge way by letting the algorithm know by smashing the like button, making sure to subscribe with notifications turned on so that you don't miss any of my future uploads. Of course, you can also come on by our Discord channel. Now, that's not going to help the YouTube channel too much, maybe, but it's going to also make our community grow and become even better than it already is. We have some wonderful people out there. So come on over, say hello, and we'll see you there as well as in the next video.